Captain Lee Tae-min pressed his face against the cold glass of the observation deck. His breath made small clouds on the window as he watched the orange flames dancing where New Busan colony used to be. 300,000 people had lived there yesterday. Today there was nothing but fire and twisted metal floating in the black space. Taemin closed his eyes and tried not to think about his sister Hyejin. She had called him just 2 days ago. Her voice was happy and excited as she told him about her daughter Min-A starting school. The little girl was only 6 years old and loved to draw pictures of spaceships. Now Min-A would never draw another picture. The bridge doors opened behind him. Lieutenant Kim Da-eun walked in slowly. Her face was red from crying. Many of the crew had family on New Busan. The colony was supposed to be safe. It was in human space far from any alien territories, but safety meant nothing when the hegemony decided to make an example. Tae-min turned around and looked at his crew. They were all staring at the screens showing the destroyed colony. Some were angry, some were sad. All of them wanted answers. He could not give them. The communication system came alive with a sharp beep. Admiral Park, so young, appeared on the main screen. Her usually neat uniform looked wrinkled. Her eyes were cold as winter storms. Behind her, Taemin could see other military officers moving around quickly. So Young spoke in a voice that made everyone on the bridge stand straighter. All human vessels, this is Earth Command. The Galactic hegemony has declared war on humanity by attacking civilian targets. They claim we are too dangerous to exist freely. In space, Taemin felt his hands turn into fists. The hegemony had always treated humans like children. They made rules that kept Earth ships in small areas of space. They said humans were too violent, too unpredictable. They needed to be watched and controlled for the safety of other species. For 50 years, humans had followed those rules. Earth government created the Restraint protocol to prove they could be peaceful. They locked away their most powerful weapons. They limited the size of their military fleets. They agreed to stay in designated zones and ask permission before exploring new systems. It was all a lie. The other species never intended to treat humans as equals. They were just buying time to figure out how to get rid of the human problem completely. So Young continued speaking. The Restraint protocol is now terminated. All weapon systems are to be brought online immediately. You have new orders. Dae-yoon looked up from her control panel with wide eyes. Sir, the restricted weapons vault is opening. I am getting signals from systems that have been locked for decades. Tae-min walked over to the weapons station and placed his hand on the scanner. The computer asked for his authorization to activate weapons that violated 17 different galactic treaties. He pressed his thumb down hard. Soul Pride began to change. Deep in the ship machines that had been sleeping for 50 years started to wake up. Energy flowed through systems that most of the crew had never seen. Active warning lights flashed as the ship computer ran diagnostics on weapons designed to crack planets. In Half Chief Engineer Yoon Jae-sung called from the engine room, Captain, the gravitational wave generators are online. The matter disruptors are charging. The dimensional phase projectors are ready. Tae-min smiled, but there was no happiness in it. These weapons had been built in secret during the early days of human space exploration. Earth scientists had designed them, while alien diplomats talked about peace treaties. Human engineers had tested them in hidden facilities while the hegemony debated whether to allow humans to colonize Mars. The aliens thought humans were dangerous because they had seen human history books. They knew about the wars and violence in human past, but they had never seen what humans could do when they stopped pretending to be civilized. They had only seen humans trying very hard to be good neighbors. Now they would learn the difference. Navigation Officer Choi Min-soo reported from his station. Captain, I am receiving fleet. Coordinates. We are joining. Battle Group 7. Other ships are already moving to intercept hegemony forces. Through the windows, Tae-min could see other human ships changing course. Their hulls were opening to reveal weapons that had been hidden behind. False panels. Sleek civilian transports transformed into warships as their disguises fell away. Research vessels activated scanning systems that could map enemy defenses from light years away. The hegemony had made one crucial mistake. They assumed humans were like other species. When most aliens faced overwhelming force, they surrendered. They negotiated. They looked for compromise and peaceful solutions. Humans were different. When humans were backed into a corner, they did not surrender. They became something else entirely. Something that made other predators run away in fear. Tae-min opened a channel to all ships in his battle group. This is Captain Lee Tae-min of the Soul. Pride to all vessels. The enemy believes we are contained. They think our restraint was weakness. They killed our families to prove their point. He looked around the bridge at his crew. Their faces showed the same cold anger he felt in his chest. Today, we show them what human restraint was really protecting them. From today, we stop being nice. The Soul Pride jumped to faster than light speed, along with 200 other human warships. They were heading for Vextaris Prime, the military capital of the Galactic hegemony. The aliens there had planned the attack. On New Busan, they had given the orders to murder human civilians. They had celebrated when the colony burned. Soon they would understand why every other species in human space had chosen to be friends instead of enemies. They would learn why humans had been so careful to follow the rules for 50 years. They would realize that human restraint had never been about fear. It had been about mercy. And mercy time was over. The stars streaked past the windows as the human fleet raced toward their targets. Behind them, Earth was already mobilizing. Every human world was preparing for war. Factories that had built civilian goods were switching to military production. Scientists who had studied peaceful applications were dusting off weapon designs that had been locked away since the Restraint protocol began. The galaxy had wanted to see what humans were really like when they stopped holding back. They were about to find out. In the distance, space began to fill with more human ships. Vessels that had been disguised as cargo haulers revealed themselves as troop carriers. Exploration ships activated cloaking devices that made them invisible to alien sensors. Mining ships extended weapons that could hollow out asteroids in seconds. The hegemony had always wondered why humans needed such powerful equipment for peaceful activities. Now they would learn that human mining lasers made excellent ship killers. Human cargo containers could hold enough explosives to level cities. Human exploration. Technology was perfect for finding enemy weak points. 300,000 humans had died at New Busan. The galaxy was about to pay that debt with interest. Commander Choi Min-ho stood in the command center of the Incheon Thunder, watching the blue planet Vextaris Prime grow larger on his screen. The planet was beautiful, with swirling white clouds and deep blue oceans, but beauty would not save it from what was coming. 12 hours had passed since the human fleet left Earth space. 12 hours since humanity stopped pretending to be weak. The galactic hegemony expected human ships to retreat back to their small corner of the galaxy. They expected humans to beg for mercy and promise to be good. Instead, human fleets had appeared around 12 different hegemony worlds at exactly the same time. The aliens were about to learn why humans had spent 50 years studying their military positions, their trade routes, their weaknesses. Min-ho opened a channel to his weapons officer, Lieutenant Park Ji-hoon. Prepare the gravity bombs for deployment. Target the planetary defense grid. First Ji-hoon looked up from his console with excitement in his eyes. Sir, the gravity bombs have been locked away since the Restraint protocol began. Are you sure we are cleared to use them? Min-ho smiled coldly. The Restraint protocol no longer exists. Lieutenant, we are cleared to use everything. The gravity bombs. were weapons that broke 17 different galactic warfare treaties. They could create artificial gravity wells that twisted space itself. They could make a planet tear itself apart from the inside. No species in the galaxy had ever developed anything like them, because the physics were considered too dangerous. Humans had built them anyway. Just in case, the Vextari defense fleet moved to intercept the human ships. Their vessels were large and impressive with shields that could deflect most energy weapons. They had defeated many enemies over their 2,000-year history. They were confident they could handle a few primitive human ships. They learned very quickly that they were wrong. The gravity bombs activated around the Vextari. Fleet space began to bend and twist in impossible ways. The alien ships found themselves pulled in different directions as artificial gravity wells grabbed them. Their shields meant nothing against weapons that attacked the fabric of reality itself, Commander. Kelvax of the Vextari flagship tried to send a surrender signal, but his communication system was being stretched through dimensions. His beautiful crystal ship cracked like glass as gravity tore it apart from inside. On the planet's surface, the Vextari. Civilians watched their proud fleet disappear in minutes. The crystalline cities that had stood for centuries began to shake as gravity bombs targeted the planetary crust. The aliens who had always looked down on humans as primitive warmongers finally understood what human warfare really looked like. Minho watched the destruction with satisfaction. Every Vextari military leader who had voted to destroy New Busan was on this planet. Every alien who had celebrated the death of human children was about to pay the price. Meanwhile, on Earth, Dr. Yoon-ji Woo was working in her laboratory preparing something much worse than gravity bombs. She had spent 30 years developing biological weapons that could adapt to any alien species. The Restraint protocol had forbidden their creation, but Ji-woo had continued her research in secret. Now her weapons were finally going to be used. The viral canisters contained diseases that could rewrite their own genetic code. They could study any alien biology and change themselves to be perfectly deadly. Every species that had participated in the New Busan massacre would face a plague designed specifically for their physiology. Ji-woo loaded the canisters into delivery drones. Her hands were steady as she worked. She thought about the human children who had died screaming in the fires of New Busan. She thought about families torn apart by alien hatred. They wanted to see monsters, she whispered to herself as the drones prepared for launch. Let them see what human monsters can do. Across the galaxy, similar scenes were playing out. Human ships appeared without warning around alien military bases. Weapons that had been hidden for decades activated for the first time. Cities that had stood for millennia crumbled under the assault of technology that aliens had never imagined. The Zephyrian merchant fleet tried to run when they saw human ships approaching, but Captain No Sung-min was already inside their vessels. His ship could phase between dimensions, appearing and disappearing like a ghost. His weapons turned living tissue into vapor in seconds. The Zephyrians had always laughed at human tactics, calling them crude and primitive. Now they died screaming as Sung-min moved through their ships like death itself. Their superior numbers meant nothing when humans could attack from inside their own hulls. On the bridge of his phase ship, Sung-min watched another alien crew die. His face showed no emotion as he targeted the next vessel. The Zephyrians had cheered when New Busan burned. They had called it justice for human aggression. Now they were learning what human aggression really looked like. The Korthax Empire tried to organize a counterattack. Their massive battle fleet moved toward human space, 10,000 ships strong. They had numerical superiority and weapons that had conquered dozens of worlds. They were confident they could crush the human rebellion. Admiral Bang Soo-jin watched their approach from her command ship hidden in the asteroid belt. She had been waiting for this moment for 20 years. The Korthax fleet was exactly where human strategists had predicted it would be. Activate Project Ragnarok, she ordered, hidden throughout the asteroid field devices that had been placed decades ago began to power up. They had been disguised as mining equipment and sensor arrays, but their real purpose was much more terrible. The devices began to tear holes in the fabric of space itself. Reality cracked like broken glass. Around the Korthax fleet, the aliens found themselves falling through dimensions that should not exist. Their matter was scattered across parallel universes as space-time collapsed around them. The mighty Korthax armada simply stopped existing. 10,000 ships and their crews were erased from reality as if they had never been born. The empire that had ruled a quarter of the galaxy for 3,000 years was reduced to empty space in seconds. Admiral Su Jin watched the destruction with cold satisfaction. The Korthax had provided the weapons used to destroy New Busan. They had trained hegemony forces in orbital bombardment techniques. They had celebrated human deaths as a victory for civilization. Now they were learning that humans had weapons that could delete civilizations from existence. Reports came in from across the galaxy. Human forces were winning everywhere. The species that had seemed so powerful were helpless against weapons they had never imagined, technology that broke the laws of physics as aliens understood them. The hegemony tried to send negotiators to Earth. They offered peace treaties and promises of respect for human rights. But it was far too late for negotiations. Humanity had tried peace for 50 years. The aliens had responded with genocide. Now there would be no mercy, no compromise, no second chances. The galaxy had demanded to see what humans were really capable of when they stopped being civilized. They were getting exactly what they asked for, and this was only the beginning. News of the human attacks spread through the galaxy faster than light itself. Species that had dismissed humans as primitive newcomers suddenly realized they had made a terrible mistake. The comfortable order that had existed for thousands of years was crumbling in a matter of hours. On the trade world of Nexus Station, alien merchants watched their screens and horror reports came in from 12 different systems. Vextaris Prime was burning. The Zephyrian merchant fleet had vanished. The entire Korthax Empire had simply stopped existing. Ambassador Velthorn of the Aquatic Coalition tried to contact his government, but the communication channels were jammed with panic signals. Every species was asking the same question: how had humans hidden weapons that could destroy reality itself? Captain No Sung Min materialized on the bridge of a Nexari cargo vessel. The blue-skinned aliens screamed as his armor made him appear like a demon from their nightmares. His weapon fired once, and the entire bridge crew dissolved into mist before the Restraint protocol. Humans had developed stealth technology that could move ships between dimensions. The aliens had never detected it because they had never seen it used. Now Sung Min could appear anywhere, destroy anything, and vanish before sensors knew he had been there. He spoke into his communicator as the Nexari ship exploded behind him. "This is Ghost 7 to Fleet Command. Another smuggling vessel destroyed. They were carrying weapons to hegemony forces. The Nexari had sold guns to the aliens who attacked New Busan. They had profited from human deaths. Now they were paying the price. Every Nexari ship in space was being hunted by invisible predators that struck without warning on the industrial world of Corvin. The insectoid hive queens received an unexpected visitor. Dr. Yoon Jiwoo had arrived in person carrying a single small vial. The liquid inside looked harmless, like ordinary water. The hive queens had always considered themselves superior to mammals. Their collective consciousness made them immune to most biological weapons. Their exoskeletons protected them from radiation and toxins. They had evolved over millions of years to survive anything. Ji Woo smiled as she opened the vial. The virus inside had been designed specifically for insectoid biology. It would rewrite their genetic code from the inside, turning their own evolution against them. Your species voted to sterilize human colonies, Jiwoo said, as the virus began to spread. You called us a disease that needed to be removed from the galaxy. The Hive Queens tried to respond, but their voices were already changing. The virus was attacking their nervous systems, making coordination impossible. Their perfect collective was breaking apart into chaos and madness. Now, you can experience what a real disease looks like, Jiwoo continued as she watched the aliens collapse. You wanted to see human cruelty. Here it is. The virus spread through the hive cities in minutes. Billions of insects died as their own biology turned against them. The species that had ruled their sector for 10 million years was extinct. Before the sunset, Admiral Kim Ye-jin commanded the human assault on the Centauri defense ring, the massive space. Stations had protected the galactic core for 2,000 years. Their shields could stop any known weapon, their guns could destroy entire fleets. But the aliens had never faced human mining equipment turned into weapons. The cargo ship Soul Trader approached one of the defense stations. It looked like an ordinary freight vessel carrying supplies for the war effort. The station commander allowed it to dock without suspicion. Too late, they realized their mistake. The Soul Trader was carrying human industrial explosives. Chemicals designed to break apart asteroids for mining were more than powerful enough to crack military stations in half. The explosion could be seen from 3 star systems away. When the light faded, the Centauri defense ring was gone. 2,000 years of alien military engineering destroyed by human mining tools on the forest world of Sylvana. The plant-based Verdani tried to hide in their deep root networks. They thought their distributed consciousness would protect them from human weapons. They believed their connection to their planet made them invulnerable. Colonel Im Jae-hyun proved them wrong. His soldiers wore armor that could pass through solid matter. They walked through the planet crust itself, appearing inside the root networks without warning. Their weapons fired energy that disrupted biological connections. The Verdani screamed through their plant network as human soldiers appeared everywhere at once. Their ancient forest cities burned, with fires that could not be extinguished. Their root systems were severed by weapons that attacked life itself. Remember, New Busan Jae-hyun told his troops as they moved through the burning forests. These aliens voted to kill human children. Now, we show them what human soldiers can do. The Verdani collective mind broke apart as their network was destroyed. Billions of plant beings died as their connections were severed. A species that had existed since before mammals evolved was reduced to ash and smoke in space above Sylvana. Human ships activated another forbidden weapon. The bio-bombers released clouds of engineered bacteria that ate organic matter. The bacteria consumed the entire planet, atmosphere turning the air itself into poison. Within hours. Sylvana was a dead world. The aliens who had lived there for millions of years were gone. Their forests were gray dust. Their cities were empty ruins. Their entire biosphere had been consumed by human-engineered death. Reports reached the Galactic Council on the capital world of Unity. The council members representing thousands of species sat in emergency session trying to understand what was happening. The humans have gone insane, declared council leader Vash Korian. They are, using weapons that violate every treaty in galactic history. They must be stopped. But how do you stop an enemy that can erase fleets from existence? How do you fight soldiers who can walk through solid matter? How do you negotiate with a species that considers mercy a weakness? The council tried to organize a combined fleet. Every remaining military force in the galaxy would unite to crush the human rebellion. Surely, even humans could not fight the entire galaxy at once. They were wrong human. Intelligence networks had infiltrated every alien government for decades. While the council planned their response, human agents were already in position. Strike teams materialized inside government buildings. Viruses spread through alien computer networks. Bombs exploded in military command centers. The Great Alliance never had a chance to form. Every species was too busy fighting for survival to coordinate with others. The galaxy that had united against humanity was falling apart as humans. Struck everywhere at once. On Earth, President Quan Ye-jin watched the reports with satisfaction. 50 years of restraint had allowed humans to study their enemies, to learn their weaknesses, to position weapons where they would do the most damage. The aliens had thought human restraint meant human weakness. They had confused mercy with inability. They had mistaken civilization for softness. Now they were learning the truth. Human restraint had been the only thing protecting them from human capabilities. Human civilization had been built on top of human savagery, not instead of it. The galaxy wanted to see what humans were really like when they stopped pretending to be peaceful neighbors. They were seeing it now, and it was more terrible than their worst nightmares. The survivors came crawling to Earth within days. Alien ambassadors who had once treated humans like dangerous animals now begged for meetings. The proud species that had voted to contain humanity were desperate to make peace. President Quan Ye-jin met them in the ruins of Geneva, where the old restraint protocol had been signed 50 years ago. The building was deliberately left damaged from the early days of human space exploration, when aliens had bombed Earth cities to prove their superior technology. The ambassadors sat around the broken table looking small and frightened. Ambassador Tel Korvax of the hegemony had lost 3 of his 4 arms in the human attack on his homeworld. His purple blood still stained his diplomatic robes. "Come seeking peace," Tel Korvax said, in a voice that shook with fear. "Surely we can find a solution that benefits all species. The galaxy is big enough for everyone." Ye-jin looked at each alien face around the table. Species that had ruled space for millennia now sat trembling before a human leader. Their empires were burning. Their fleets were destroyed. Their worlds were dying from human plagues. "You had 50 years to show us respect," she replied calmly. 50 years where we followed your laws. We accepted your restrictions. We tried to be the civilized species you claimed you wanted us to be." Ambassador Zixandra of the Crystal Confederation leaned forward desperately. "We made mistakes," she admitted. "But surely the deaths of billions of innocent aliens is not justice for the loss of one human colony." Ye-jin stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see the memorial being built for New Busan victims. The names of 300,000 humans were being carved into black. "Stone that would last forever. One colony," she repeated. 300,000 men, women, and children. You did not just kill them. You celebrated their deaths. You called it necessary for galactic stability." The alien ambassadors shifted uncomfortably in their seats. They remembered the celebrations on their home worlds when New Busan burned. They remembered the speeches about removing the human threat. They remembered cheering when human children died. "We offer reparations," Tel Korvax said quickly. "Full compensation for the destroyed colony, seats on the Galactic Council, recognition of human sovereignty in expanded territory." Ye-jin turned back to face them, her eyes cold as space itself. "There will be no negotiations. There will be no reparations. There will be no mercy. You wanted to see what humans are really capable of when we stop pretending to be civilized. Tonight, every world that participated in the destruction of New Busan burns." The ambassadors stood up in panic. "We have families," Tel Korvax pleaded. "Our civilians are innocent. They had nothing to do with military decisions. So did the children of New Busan." Ye-jin replied, "But you killed them anyway to make a point. Now we are making our point." Security guards escorted the alien ambassadors. Out of the building, they would be returned to their ships and given time to flee the galaxy if they wanted to live. Any species that remained would face the full fury of unleashed humanity. Colonel Im Jae-hyun was already leading the assault on the hegemony capital world. His soldiers materialized inside government buildings wearing armor that made them invisible to all known sensors. Their weapons could kill through solid walls, making no defense effective. The hegemony leaders had built their capital deep underground, thinking the rock would protect them. They learned that human technology could phase through matter itself. Jae-hyun and his troops walked through solid stone as if it was air chancellor. Vekmorian was in his private bunker. When human soldiers appeared in his room, he had voted personally to authorize the new Busan attack. He had signed the order to use orbital bombardment on civilian targets. "Remember," New Busan Jae-hyun said as he aimed his weapon. The chancellor tried to speak, but the human soldier was not interested in final words. Within hours, every member of the hegemony government was dead. Their bodies were left in their own council chambers as warnings. The species that had ruled the galaxy for 2,000 years no longer had leaders. On the mining world of Korith 7, human engineers were demonstrating another forbidden technology. They had built machines that could convert matter directly into energy. The devices had been disguised as terraforming equipment for 50 years. Now they were being used for their real purpose. Engineer Park Min-jung watched as her machines began converting the planet core into pure energy. Korith 7 was home to 12 billion aliens who had cheered when human colonies burned. Now their entire world was being transformed into a weapon. The planet began to glow as its matter was converted to energy. The aliens on the surface had minutes to evacuate, but there were not enough ships. Human mercy had ended with New Busan, the Eye. Explosion could be seen from neighboring star systems. When the light faded, Korith 7 was gone, along with everyone who had lived there. An entire world had been converted into energy and released into space. The message spread quickly to other alien worlds. If you participated in human genocide, your entire species would pay the price. There would be no exceptions, no mercy, no second chances. Dr. Yoon-ji-woo was putting the final touches on her masterpiece, a virus that could spread through subspace. Communication signals. Every time an alien tried to send a message, the virus would analyze their biology and create a plague specifically for their species. She released it into the Galactic communication network and watched as it spread. Every species that tried to coordinate resistance would face biological warfare designed by human science. Their own attempt to organize would kill them. On the fortress world of Keth Prime, the military leaders of 17 different species had gathered to plan a counterattack. They thought their combined knowledge could find a way to stop human expansion. They learned that human viruses could travel through their communication systems. In minutes, every alien in the fortress was dead. Their own computers had become delivery systems for targeted plagues. The fortress world fell silent as 12 billion defenders died from diseases that attacked their specific biology. The alliance never had a chance to form because the act of trying to coordinate killed them all. General Song Hyo-rin established military government on the former hegemony capital, where alien bureaucrats had once debated humanity's fate. Human administrators now divided up the galaxy between Earth colonies. Every species that had voted for human containment found their worlds stripped of resources. Their populations were relocated to small reservation planets where they could be monitored and controlled. "This is justice," Hyo-rin announced to the surviving alien governments. "You treated us like animals in a cage. Now you will live like animals while we decide your fate." Some species tried to resist. Captain An Bora dealt with the Nathari terrorists who launched suicide attacks against human colonies. Her ships could travel through solid matter, appearing inside enemy vessels without warning. The Nathari had always prided themselves on their fanatical dedication. They thought their willingness to die would overcome human technology. They were wrong. Bora soldiers were enhanced with cybernetic implants that made them faster, stronger, and more deadly than any biological species. They could survive in vacuum fight in zero gravity and coordinate through electronic telepathy. "They want to play terrorist Bora," asked her officers as they prepared to assault the Nathari homeworld. "Let us show them what human terrorism looks like." The Nathari civilization lasted exactly 72 hours. Their cities became radioactive glass. Their survivors were scattered to prison camps where they would work for generations to pay for human lives lost to their attacks. The galaxy was learning that crossing humanity had only one price: complete extinction or total submission. There were no other options left. 6 months after New Busan burned, the galaxy was unrecognizable. Human flags flew over worlds that had been alien capitals for thousands of years. Species that had once debated humanity. Fate now worked in human minds and factories building the infrastructure of Earth Empire. General Song Hyorin walked through the halls of the former Hegemony Senate building on Vexteris Prime. The crystalline architecture that had once symbolized alien superiority now housed human administrators. Every alien symbol had been removed and replaced with images of Earth. The surviving hegemony leaders knelt in chains before her desk. They wore neural control collars that prevented them from thinking rebellious thoughts. Their proud civilization had been reduced to slavery in less than half a year. "You ruled this galaxy for 2,000 years, Hyorin told them as she reviewed reports from across human-controlled space. "You convinced yourselves that you were bringing civilization to primitive species like humanity." The former Chancellor Vex Corian tried to speak, but his collar sent electrical pulses through his brain whenever he attempted unauthorized communication. His people had developed the technology to control criminal minds now. It was being used on them. "Now you understand what real civilization looks like," she continued. Human civilization built on human terms. For human benefit reports came in from across the galaxy. Every day human control expanded further. Species that tried to resist were eliminated completely. Those that submitted were allowed to exist as workers in the new order. Admiral Lee Taemin commanded the human fleet that was hunting down the last free alien governments. His ships had been upgraded with technology that made them faster than light itself. They could appear anywhere in the galaxy within minutes. The Corvani Republic had tried to hide in the Outer Rim territories. They thought distance would protect them from human wrath. They were wrong. Taemin materialized his entire fleet inside the Corvani home system without warning. The aliens scrambled to activate their defenses, but human weapons moved faster than their computers could process. "Surrender now, and your civilians will live." He broadcast to the Corvani fleet, "Continue fighting, and we will demonstrate what happened to species that chose extinction over submission." The Corvani admiral tried to negotiate, but Taemin was done with alien excuses. Every species that had voted to destroy New Busan would pay the same price: complete surrender or complete destruction. The Corvani fleet lasted 18 minutes against human weapons. Their shields were pierced by energy that attacked matter at the atomic level. Their hulls were dissolved by weapons that turned metal into gas. Their crews died as human viruses spread through their life support systems. The Corvani homeworld surrendered as soon as their fleet was destroyed. Another proud species added to the list of human subjects. Their government was dissolved. Their military disbanded, their population relocated to work camps on Earth. President Kwon Ye-jin reviewed the daily reports from the expanding human empire. Every day brought news of new worlds claimed, new species enslaved, new resources flowing back to human colonies. The aliens had been right about one thing, she thought to herself, as she signed orders that would relocate billions of beings. Humans were too dangerous to be left free in the galaxy. They had just been wrong about who would be doing the containing. Dr. Yoon Ji-woo had completed her biological survey of all remaining alien species. Her laboratories now contained samples of DNA from every sentient race in the galaxy. Each species had at least 12 different viruses designed specifically for their biology. Any future rebellion would be ended before it started. A single command from Earth could release plagues that would eliminate entire species within days. The threat of instant extinction kept the surviving aliens obedient and productive. Captain No Sung-min led the hunt for alien resistance movements. His phase ships could appear inside any hiding place, no matter how well protected. They had found rebel bases hidden in black holes, asteroid belts, and alternate dimensions. The resistance movements never lasted long. Aliens who had spent millennia planning military campaigns could not adapt to fighting an enemy that could attack from anywhere. The human soldiers moved, like ghosts, killing their targets and vanishing before anyone knew they were there, on the industrial world of Factoria 9. Human engineers were converting alien cities into manufacturing centers. The buildings were redesigned for human comfort, while their former owners worked in the factories below. Engineer Park Min-jung supervised the construction of new human colonies on worlds that had been alien capitals. The native populations were relocated to reservation areas where they could be monitored and controlled. They called us violent and primitive, she told her construction crews as they demolished an ancient alien temple to make room for a human school building. Now they build our cities and tend our farms. The irony was not lost on anyone. The species that had claimed humans were too savage for civilization were now serving human civilization as laborers and servants. Their own superiority had become their weakness. Captain An Bo-ra commanded the pacification fleets that maintained order in human territory. Any sign of alien unrest was met with immediate and overwhelming force. Her ships carried weapons that could sterilize entire planets in minutes. A group of Zephyrian merchants had tried to organize a trade boycott against human goods. They thought economic pressure might force Earth to negotiate better treatment for alien populations. Bo-ra's response was swift and final. The entire Zephyrian merchant class was eliminated in a single night. Their assets were distributed to human corporations. Their families were sent to work camps. Their names were erased from all records. Let this be a lesson to other species, she broadcast across the galaxy. Human rule is not a negotiation. It is a fact. Any attempt to resist will result in extinction. The message was received clearly. No alien species tried to organize resistance after that. They had learned that human mercy was conditional on perfect obedience. Any sign of defiance would trigger immediate extermination. Colonel Im Jae-hyun established the new legal system that would govern alien populations. The laws were simple: complete obedience to human authority, total dedication to human goals, absolute acceptance of human superiority. Violation of any law would result in collective punishment. The entire species would suffer for the actions of individuals. This kept the alien populations police each other, ensuring no one would risk rebellion. The system worked perfectly. Fear of extinction kept every species in line, while hope of survival motivated them to be productive workers. The galaxy had never been more peaceful or more profitable for its human rulers. General Song Hyo-rin reviewed the transformation with satisfaction. In just 6 months, humanity had gone from a contained species to the absolute rulers of known space. Every alien civilization had been conquered or destroyed. The Restraint Protocol had been replaced by the Dominion Protocol, complete human control over all aspects of galactic civilization. The species that had voted to limit human expansion now served human expansion as living tools. This is what they really wanted, she told her staff as reports came in of new worlds being colonized by human settlers. They wanted a galaxy without human aggression. Well, now they have it. All the aggression belongs to us. The galaxy burned with human ambition. Human settlers claimed new worlds every day. Human corporations exploited resources on a scale never seen before. Human military forces ensured that no alien power could ever threaten Earth children again. The age of alien dominance was over. The age of human empire had begun, and it would last forever. 1 year had passed since the Restraint protocol ended. 1 year since 300,000 humans died at New Busan. 1 year since humanity stopped pretending to be civilized neighbors and became the rulers of the galaxy. President Quan Ye-jin stood on the observation deck of Luna Station, looking out at Earth hanging in the black sky behind her. The memorial to New Busan victims stretched across the lunar surface. Every name carved in stone that would last until the sun died below her. In the Great Assembly Hall, representatives from every surviving alien species waited for her address. They wore neural control collars that ensured their complete obedience. Their once proud civilizations had been reduced to footnotes in human. History today would mark the formal establishment of the Terran Galactic Empire. The galaxy that had tried to contain humanity would now serve humanity for all time. There would be no more alien governments, no more alien militaries, no more alien independence. Admiral Lee Tae-min joined her at the observation window. His fleet controlled every major star system in the galaxy. Human ships patrolled trade routes that had once belonged to alien empires. Human soldiers maintained order on worlds where aliens had ruled for millennia. The transformation is complete, he reported to Ye-jin. Every species has been cataloged and assigned work duties. The resistance movements have been eliminated. The galaxy is at peace. It was the peace of the graveyard, Ye-jin thought, but she did not say it aloud. Species that had fought humans were extinct. Species that had surrendered were slaves. Peace through absolute domination was still peace. She walked into the assembly hall where alien leaders sat in rows, like students waiting for a teacher. They could not speak without permission. They could not move without authorization. They could not think rebellious thoughts without pain. Some of you still wonder why this happened. Ye-jin began her address. The translation devices ensured every alien understood her words. You ask why humanity could not just accept your rules and live peacefully in our small corner of space. She gestured to the holographic display showing the New Busan Memorial. The images of dead human children rotated slowly in the air above the assembled aliens. This is why you made the choice when you decided human children were acceptable casualties in your quest for galactic stability. You made the choice when you called us. Too dangerous to live freely, Ambassador Tel Korvax of the former hegemony tried to raise his hand to speak, but his collar kept his arm locked in place. The purple alien had once commanded fleets that terrorized entire sectors. Now he could not move. Without human permission. You made the choice, Ye-jin continued, when you celebrated the deaths of innocent families while claiming you represented civilization. You taught us that might makes right, that the strong rule the weak, that mercy is weakness. Admiral Tae-min stepped forward to add his own words. We offered you peace. We offered you cooperation. We offered you friendship and restraint. You chose war instead. You chose to see what humans are really like when we stop holding back. The alien representatives sat in perfect silence. Their species had learned that interrupting humans led to immediate punishment. Some civilizations had been reduced to half their original population for showing disrespect to human authority. Dr. Yoonji Woo activated the biological monitoring system that kept track of every alien in the galaxy. Her viruses had infected entire species, making them dependent on human medicine for survival. Any rebellion would trigger engineered plagues that would kill within hours. The galaxy is now under permanent human protection, she announced. Every species is cataloged, every individual is monitored. Any sign of aggression against human interests will result in immediate extinction. The threat was not empty. In the past year, 17 different species had been completely eliminated for attempting resistance. Their worlds were now human colonies. Their names were removed from all records. Their existence was forgotten. Captain No Sung-min commanded the Dimensional Patrol, fleets that prevented any aliens from escaping human control. His ships could phase through alternate realities, hunting down refugees who tried to flee to parallel universes. There is no escape from human justice, he reported to the assembly. Every dimension, every timeline, every possible reality is under human surveillance. You belong to us now and forever. General Song Hyo-rin presented the new Galactic Constitution that would govern all future development. The document was simple. Human needs came first. Human desires came second. Alien survival came last. If at all, Colonel Im Jae-hyun announced the establishment of education camps where young aliens would be taught to serve human civilization properly. Their traditional cultures would be erased and replaced with devotion to Earth Engineer Park. Min Jung reported on the terraforming projects that were converting alien worlds to human preferences. Atmospheres were being changed to support Earth life. Gravity was being adjusted for human comfort. Native ecosystems were being replaced with earth plants and animals. Captain An Bo-ra described the security forces that would maintain order in the new empire. Human soldiers would be stationed on every world ready to eliminate any threat to the peace. The aliens would be protected from themselves by human wisdom. The assembled alien leaders listened to their fate with the blank expressions of broken spirits. They had once ruled the galaxy with pride and confidence. Now they were livestock managed by their human owners. Some species tried one last desperate plea for mercy. The Aquatic Coalition representative managed to bypass his collar long enough to speak. "We have learned our lesson," he gasped before the collar silenced him again. "Surely we have suffered enough." Yejin looked down at the alien with cold eyes. "Enough," she repeated. "You think 1 year of servitude pays for 50 years of oppression. You think temporary suffering balances permanent injustice." She turned to address all the aliens in the hall. "You have not suffered enough. You will never suffer enough. There is no amount of pain that can repay the children of New Busan. There is no length of service that will earn your freedom." The truth was simple, and final humanity had won completely. The galaxy belonged to Earth. Now, every world, every species, every resource was human property. The age of alien independence was over forever. The galaxy is quiet now, peaceful and utterly under human control, she concluded, just the way humanity intends to keep it. You called us monsters when we showed restraint. You demanded to see what we were really capable of. The holographic display showed human fleets patrolling every corner of space. Human colonies, spreading across former alien worlds. Human children playing safely in parks built on the graves of alien civilizations. "Now you know," she said as the assembly ended. "The galaxy you created through your hatred and fear is the galaxy you will live in until your species die out. We are the monsters you made, and monsters we will remain." The alien representatives were escorted back to their quarters by human guards. They would spend their remaining years serving the empire that had grown from the ashes of their own civilizations. Their children would know only human rule. Their grandchildren would forget they had ever been free admiral. Taemin watched them go with satisfaction. The species that had killed his sister and her children were paying the price. Every day they lived in fear. Every day they remembered that human mercy was not human weakness. The galaxy had demanded to see what humans were really like when they stopped being civilized. They had gotten exactly what they asked for, and they would live with the consequences until the stars burned out. Earth restraint was over. The galaxy belonged to humanity now, forever.